bring the Transportation Committee to order. I'll ask Councilman Valentine to offer the prayer. Thanks.
Bow your heads, please. Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for our strength and our health, Lord God. We ask wisdom tonight, Lord, in the committee meeting tonight, Father, as we make issues and make decisions for your people. In your Son's holy name we ask this. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask that if you have a public comment that you just come up at the item that you want to speak at and let the secretary know that you want to speak. The first item of business tonight is an update on road widening projects. We'll see Mr. Kent Israel right now, URS. Good evening, Kent.
Good evening, Councilman Fondo and the rest of the council. I passed out to each of you a copy of the project status update that was prepared. The major items that changed are shown in orange, reddish orange. And I'll just go over a few of them for y'all's general information. On Joseph Ario Road, GSA has been instructed to add the turn lanes at the intersection of LA 933 in the front of Galvez Middle School. Roddy Road, reviewing we need to get a set of plans from Glenn to review the original preliminary plans that were prepared some years ago and see what modifications need to be made in order to save as much of those plans as possible. And the same goes for Cannon Road. The 2005 road widening project pre-construction conference was held this morning at DPW. A full work order is to be issued to R.J. Daigle for effective tomorrow, then to start work. The intersection improvement project, GSA has been instructed to prepare 2 sets of final plans to take there are 5 intersections left to be done. They've been instructed to divide those into 3 and 2, and we will let the project with the 3 intersections as soon as we can get plans developed and right away bought. Coquit Road Bridge, the engineering is going to be done in-house. DPW will use box culverts to replace the bridge. Roddy Road Bridges, the survey is to be completed by July 17th. And the 2006 roadway construction program, the in-house engineering staff is approximately 40% complete with preliminary plans. That's the status of the ongoing projects that we have at this point. Are there any questions?
Gentlemen. Mr. Hillensbeck, any questions? Gentlemen, any questions? There seems to be no questions.
Just a point of information for the council. The Department of Transportation took bids on the intersection of LA 70 and I-10 and LA 70 and LA 3125 at their regular bidding last Wednesday. FG Sullivan was the low bidder at $1.248 million for a project to add turn lanes at those 2 intersections.
Where at?
It's LA 70 and 22. They're going to add a right turn lane on LA 70 and a free lane to the interstate, where traffic coming from 70 will have a lane to merge before you get.
That's the same thing we discussed earlier? Okay.
Yes, it is same thing. And then on LA 70 at 3125, they're adding a left turn lane to go from 70 on to 3125.
That's in St. James, but that really
Yeah, that is St. James,
That benefits all Ascension Parish residents.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you for the update,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Israel.
No problem.
The next item is Ernest Floyd Road. I had asked Mr. Dennis to put this on the road list because I happen to go down that road. It's not in my district, and I know Mr. Shake's not as concerned about it. I happen to go down it to get to the Tourist Commission building on right there at the corner of LA 70 and 22. And while I was there driving on the road, I just couldn't believe the condition that it was in, and it needs work done on it. And I was just curious as to when it was put together. It looked like the pavement was fairly new, but it is a road that is not traveled on a whole lot, so that could be why the blacktops look new. But it was just really, I just couldn't believe it. I used to travel that road a long time ago when it was a gravel road, and I really felt like it could almost be a gravel road again. And so I was just wondering what kind of plans we have. Is this in the pipeline to do anything to it? If it's one of the roads that meets a timeline, how long has the road been done? Is it due to be done again? If not, what was the failure of the road, and what does the Department of Public Works or Administration plan to do about that road in the future?
Yeah, I could tell you that road was done about 10 years ago. It was in Project 12, and just about exactly 10 years old right now. And it was done under normal design at that time. It had 8-inch saw cement base, and it had 3 inches of asphalt, which really was thicker than normal, than we normally use. And and I agree with you. It is in bad shape. Now the thing about it is, it's a long road. It's almost 8,000 feet long, I believe, and there's relatively small amount of traffic. We did a traffic count on it, and it was like 350 vehicles a day, which is not a lot. And those two things make it difficult to justify economically to do the whole road. But I agree with you, it is getting to a point where we are going to have to do something. And so we may want to look at doing some sectional patching, at least a part of it, the worst parts for a while. But these roads should last longer than that. This was in a bad area, I think, plus when you have a lot of trees that's close to the road, that's along those sections, it causes us problems with cracking.
Well, and I travel that on a regular basis, and I echo what Mr. Babin was saying. It was something that very much concerned, and we were looking into it, and it was one of the priorities we had. But when we looked at the traffic count, some of the other roads that we had nearby warranted to be fixed first, and so that's why it's not on the project this year. But I had asked that we go through it and do some repairs and fill in the cracks, because it looked like it had some subsidence on it where it shifted to the outside, and large cracks, failure of the road bed itself. And so if we could just do some maintenance to fill those cracks, and we may be able to, with a few amount of vehicles, we may be able to get 1 or 2 more years out of it with repairing it and not spending the amount of money. I would like to see us try to do a decent job of making some capable repairs and extending the life because of the few number of cars on it. But it is a necessary road that's traveled by a number of people. But
yeah, there are. Our maintenance people, in fact, have been working on that road, filling in some of the wider cracks. But strictly a stopgap measure. It's not going to last too long, but it'll help for a while.
Councilman Shakespeare did request a no truck route
Right.
there, and I think that's going to help.
Right.
My main concern was that it looked like it could be a really hazard. And I was more concerned about the safety. And you're right. You can tell that it's very thick asphalt. So, I mean, it is thicker than I see most roads. And the asphalt looked good. It's just like he said, the road base is just kind of disintegrating. And we just really need to take a look at it real hard. And if it's sectional patching that need just to fix certain areas and make it a little bit better, I would just rather be proactive and make sure that somebody doesn't get hurt there.
Sure.
You know, one life saved is to the family that it's saved from is, you know, a big deal. So we just want to make sure that you get that done. Okay, item number six, we have a contract change order for Ascension Parish Road Project 204-RC-1, Barrier Construction Company. Welcome, Mr. Kevin Gravois with BEC.
Okay, good evening. At the last transportation meeting last week, I think it was requested that we provide a timeline on the project, and we have handed that out as well as a copy of the change order, and we'll be prepared to go over some of the items of the change order or the timeline and answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Babin, we've been talking about this change order, and yesterday when I visited with you, you gave me a copy of some information that you said that was handed to us in a meeting, and we obviously forgot about it. But that was November of 2005. You want to explain that one to the committee?
We had Kevin had prepared after several meetings with the contractor and among ourselves with URS, we'd come up with what we thought was a way to handle this problem. And so Kevin had written a letter on that, a summary of what we were planned on doing. And the last thing in that summary was, it did talk about that plan change, you know, the amount of money that we would need in a change order. But I have to say, I'm not sure if that was given to you. I thought it was given to you on that executive meeting, but it may not have. And I don't think we really talked about that part of it. So that's the only reason why I brought it up is, you know, we were looking for some indication that we may have tried to bring y'all up to speed on that before.
Ms. Fontenot,
Yes.
let me go over just a couple of,
Okay.
I guess, some timelines. And you have my timeline. I guess we can go to the third sheet of that, which is, I'll bring you to August 2nd, which was the contract end date by the notice to proceed. August the 11th, substantial completion was issued, so the contractor was 9 days late finishing the project. We developed a punch list and sent it off to DPW and URS. We sent the change order number 2 to Barrier, DPW, and URS on September 29th. Of course, this was after the hurricanes had come, and there was about a 6-week delay with that change order because of the hurricanes. But it was sent out September 29th of last year. And then basically after that, Barrier didn't really resurface until November the 1st. They were closer to New Orleans and had damage and a work crew that was scattered out. So basically on November the 1st, we got back in correspondence with Barrier Construction. And of course that's when we then had the meetings with the Transportation Committee in December and then in January.
Any questions from any of you guys, you have any questions for Mr. Redwater?
So you actually sent this to DPW and URS, this change order number 2.
Well, change order number 2 underwent a couple of variations because we've been in negotiations with Barrier concerning L. Landry and Henderson Bayou Road, but close figures to what you have were presented. About 6 weeks after the project was substantially complete.
I thought that was 2 separate issues. Your negotiations with Barrier on the 2 roads was a separate issue that you settled at that point, and then the change order was for everything else. But this change order was for. Does this also include the what do you call it?
It was basically
The
a
totals of
final adjustment of contract quantities. It was a unit
okay, the
price
quantities,
contract,
that's what I'm trying to get
and it
at.
was adjusting all the units to the final contract units that were actually used in the project. And so it took each item, and if it was added, it was added. If it was deleted,
So you
it was
didn't get
deleted.
your units for those 2 roads until after this was.
Well, no, the roads were on the punch list, and the roads were completed and being used. So we issued the substantial completion, and so it's just that Barrier and ourselves had disagreement on some of the quantities,
Okay,
and that's when we started, coming to the Transportation Committee and negotiating thereafter.
Okay, and URS and DPW was in agreement with these figures that
Well,
you.
we had sent, I guess, we had sent it off in September, and we obviously were in agreement with it and thought that's what Barrier should accept. But then again, that's when we had some differences of opinion with Barrier and came back to the
and
Transportation Committee.
Mr. Babin, y'all received this in September?
I think we received a copy of it.
Okay, and so.
Not a signed one by Barrier, just that they were sending it to Barrier.
Okay, and y'all didn't have any objections to it or anything that.
No, not at that time.
Okay, but we still didn't get any information until now.
Mr. Shakespeare, I have a paper in my hand that DPW did have information on November the 15th, 2005. We're not sure that we got it. Dennis says he thought that they had given it to us in that meeting, but we didn't. But he gave me this yesterday, and you can see the fax date on it. It's November the 15th. So they've been having it. Administration's had it since November the 15th.
And as we said, that's our only problem is that we've been having this, administration has been having this, since November, and now it's July, and we're just getting, this to vote on. And so I would hope that this doesn't happen again because it puts us in a very awkward position to do. And
I got a question, sure.
Mr. Hillenspent.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things. Of course, the change order number 2 is dated June 7th, 2006. I'm just kind of at a loss why we'd wait till that point in time to get the change order request. Where if you submitted it like you said, September 29th of 2005.
Yes, sir.
Of course, I realize there's a decrease on there as well as the increase, but it's just I'm just surprised at the amount of the change order, $250,000 you're asking us to approve after the project's been finished. We had no idea. It's a complete surprise.
The first, like I said, when we issued the change order in September of 05, again, Barrier didn't agree with some of the items, and again, they came to the Transportation Committee meeting on their request in January, and we were directed to sit down with Ricky Babin and just go over the items and see what could be a happy median for with Barrier and the parish, and that's why the June 7th is a result of our meetings with the parish attorney and Barrier.
Okay, and according to your memo of November 14th, you're saying the total change order, number 2, final adjustment is $170,591, which allows for a total contract price of $2,620,000. And of course, the bid amount was $2,545,000. And I tell you, I'm just still not ready to make a decision on this. I asked for several documents on Friday, emailed DPW, and I got them handed to me tonight. I was notified earlier today by email, and I just didn't have time to come by and pick up the documents and look at them. And there's still some things from finance that they're working on, and this is what I was given tonight right before the meeting, and I just don't feel comfortable just saying okay. I'd really like to go back through and look at all this, and then I'd feel better. I mean, is there a problem, Mr. Kevin, Mr. Gravois, if
It's your discretion.
if we hold off and maybe do this at the next meeting? Is that a problem? I mean,
I think Mr. Hillenbeck may be right. One, we don't have counsel here tonight either.
Yeah.
I would be more comfortable if counsel would be here to, advise us on anything we would like to do resulting in this. I guess my question, Kevin, is where are we with repairs?
The Barrier is waiting upon the acceptance of the project
Wow.
by the council.
Wow, is that a condition of repairs?
That's just, they would like to mobilize once and get going. We had issued a letter early in the project for them to go ahead and take care of the items that were not in dispute.
Right.
Again, they mentioned that they wanted to mobilize one time on the project.
Okay, and I can understand that, but I didn't realize that the change order was holding up them repairing faulty construction.
That was just the agreement, and Ricky
Okay.
could probably better
Okay,
explain.
and that's why
can
I
explain that
wished
than I can.
Yeah, right. I wish we had attorney here. I would suggest, I would suggest, Councilwoman Fontenot, that we and Chairman, we would go ahead and put this off, as Mr. Hillenbeck said, and we'll either call a special meeting or on our next transportation meeting. We'll discuss this. Give him time to research what he wants to research, and make sure that Senator has Mr. Babbitt here at our next transportation meeting.
I have no problem calling a special one if that's what y'all want to do, or do you want to go ahead and put it to the next one? Then fine.
We can just put it off.
Cinnamon, just put this on the next transportation agenda and make sure that we do have representation from our legal counsel.
You know, I do have one question, and I don't know, maybe Mr. Babin can answer this if Kevin can't. You know, all along we said we were going to build roads to DOT TD standards, and we wind up with these roads, obviously with wavy sections, and them are bad roads. And I know Mr. Diaz, when he was a counsel of record until he handed off to Mr. Babin, he sent you an email asking you, Dennis, about the patholograph, which is required in the DOTD standard. We didn't require that, and I'm wondering why was that waived? Because that could have saved us a lot of problems along the.
We didn't actually waive it.
Well, it obviously wasn't used then.
We've been through a lot of parts on this, but on the DOTD specifications, we do say we want everything to be built according to DOTD specifications. But DOTD specifications are for highways mainly. And so there's some things that don't apply to our types of roads. Now that wasn't particularly waived for these roads. It's just that we've never, that's never been done in the past because we never had that problem before, with any of our roads. And so it really wasn't waived, and it is a requirement, but we did, after we started looking at the roads, we realized there was a big problem with this, and we did have them evaluated.
are we requiring it now? Is it now a requirement to do a pathologist? Wasn't that
Right.
put in, that change now as part of
That's one
our
of the
quality
things.
control inspection checks?
Right. That's one of the things we.
Just curious,
Yeah.
did you ever answer Mr. Diaz? Because I never got a response back. Did you ever answer him per email?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure did.
Councilman Schechtner.
I have one more thing. We have, early on, I think last year, we had, in our agreement in asking help from URS, one of the things is that we wanted URS to do inspections of our roads. Are we doing that now?
They're doing.
Who's actually doing the inspections of the roads?
The inspections right now are done by the engineer of record for the roads.
What?
But URS is involved in it.
No,
They're-
I'm not
they're
talking
involved
about
at different
inspections.
stages.
We specifically talked about inspections of our roads to be handled by URS, in that we wanted to separate the people building the roads from doing their own inspections. And that's one of the reasons why URS was brought on board, is that all of these projects, we would have a separate and independent inspector that would be hiring this. And I'm sure this body, that was one of the tasks that we had asked DPW to do, is to have separate inspections headed by URS to do that. And I was just wondering, why are we not doing that?
Yeah, I'll have to get back with you on that.
Please do, because
sure.
I do remember coming from transportation and going through the council, and one of the tasks that we asked URS to do is that we wanted to separate and have inspections done by URS, so that it would be independent inspections, and that we would have say-so with the inspector, and they'd be working for us, not for any of the contractors. And I think that's very important. It's very important for the people of the parish that we would have this. And I think that makes it easier on the contractor also, and the engineer, is when they go through and they have somebody else is inspecting it, then there's no question about what's going on. And I just think that's the proper way to go. And I would like some answers as to why this is not happening, and as quickly as possible for it to be happening, because this was directed by the council.
We have some URS guys in the audience. Can you tell us if you were tasked by administration to inspect the roads that we have in question here? Was this something that you were asked to do?
Ms. Fontenot, of course, I came on board with URS the 1st of March. I do not know if URS was asked to independently inspect these roads. I know we have had staff that have looked at them and have been in consultation with DPW about it.
After the fact?
Yes, after the fact.
And that's been the problem. We keep bringing URS into the picture after the problem happens, and the whole idea of having that engineering group here is to prevent problems from happening. And I think we're just underutilizing, and it ends up costing us more money. Now we're using them for litigation. We're using them for all kind of things except for what the intention was to be. And I think if we utilize their services in a proper manner up front, it's going to save us a great deal of money on the back end. And I think the last 2 years, going through the different projects we have, is very, very much evident of that, is that there's certain procedures that hadn't always been followed, or certain people inspecting and so on, and that we can do a better job if we have this. So whatever we have to do, we need to take care of that as we had instructed.
I will check with our people in Metairie and see what their recollection, Mr. Bingham and Mr. Paterno's recollection
Thank you.
on this issue.
Councilman Hillens.
Yeah, and if you would, maybe y'all come back to the next meeting and have some of them respond to the question, because it's I agree with everything that Mr. Schechtner said. We hired URS as a program manager, and it was supposed to help us not have or alleviate these type of situations, these type of problems, and so here we are. We're paying the engineer, and they're supposed to be doing quality control, and it didn't happen on this project. And then we've got the program manager also supposed to be watching, and we're paying out some very large amounts or sums of money, and here we are. We're being asked to approve a change order for $249,000
The only thing
after the fact, after the thing's over. So I hope you can understand our frustration.
I understand your
Thank you.
comment.
And concern.
URS came in on this issue, on this project, way after the work was done.
I'm not so sure about that. We'll have to go back and look at the timeline. That's debatable. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to number 7, utility relocation contract, ETEL/ETEL, Joseph Area Road. Dennis Babin, Parish Engineer.
Thank you. Yes, we have a contract. I think y'all have a copy of it from ETEL for the relocation of their lines on Joseph Area. This is the last utility relocation on Joseph Area. And their contract amount, they've come up with a total cost estimate of moving their lines of $189,607.25, of which the parish would be 52% responsible for, or $98,595.77. We've looked at this. We've had URS review it, and we are awaiting legal review of the contract right now.
Motion to approve pending legal.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this contract pending legal. Any objections?
Send to council, obviously.
Mr. Israel, this has been reviewed, and you're in concurrence with this?
Yes.
Okay.
No objections? Then put this on the council agenda for next Thursday. Thank you, Cinnamon. Item number 8, we have the Central School Roddy Road request to asphalt a wooden bridge for Councilman Barraga.
Where are we on that, Mr. Dennis? That's that bridge that's making all the noise on Roddy Road.
Right. I know our people went there and tried to fix it. They're having a problem. They were going to re-nail it, essentially. And one of the concerns we have right now, well, there's two concerns. One is, if you put asphalt on that wooden bridge the way it is, we think it'll break up pretty fast. You know, it won't really stay on there. The second concern, you know, as y'all know, we do have that bridge in our program to be done, hopefully in not too distant future, to be reconstructed. But what we would like to do is to try and go ahead, we want to go ahead and try and screw these timbers in, you know, with these lag screws, to get them to hold firm. If we can do that, you know, as an interim measure till we replace that thing, that's what we want to look at doing, if y'all don't have a problem with that. We could put the asphalt on it, but we just feel like it's not going to last.
Yes,
Mr. Babin, and I know it's not your fault, but I mean, you know, administration's had plenty enough time. They could have tried the lag bolts. We want you to try anything to silence the bridge. Right. You know, asphalt, because the other bridge I think is asphalt, right. and I think it's wooden, and it's asphalt, and it seems to be holding up. I could be wrong with that, but I've traveled it not frequently, but a good many times. So anything that DPW can do to silence the bridge would be appreciated. And you know, this is, I don't know, third time it's come up.
Right.
And I mean, you know, we ought to at least try something.
Sure.
And soon. Mr. Hillensback.
Yeah, if you would, I know you plan to try to maybe replace that during next summer, but I'd go ahead and just re-nail it and asphalt it, and hopefully it'll stay together. And if not, we'll go back and put some more asphalt down, and because it's really a problem for that area.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Ozzy, do you have the updated safety program ready? Guys, we, as a transportation committee, had a little commercial or advertisement asking people to slow down. And so we have, I have updated it somewhat, because it is a big problem in Ascension Parish, and people are complaining a lot about the speeding. And it's just a program just to make us more aware of our driving habits and the effect that they can have on the family. And so, Ozzy, if you can roll that. Okay, this video will have music attached. Ozzy will get the music and the video together and get it placed on, if that's the agreement of this board here, as a program represented by this board. I wanted to say that our roads are not what's causing the fatalities. We do have some problems like Ernest Floyd Road and others that could cause fatalities. But the majority of the fatalities that are happening and the accidents that are happening in Ascension Parish is because we're not being responsible with our driving habits. This transportation committee supports the community by asking its citizens to take a little time to think about our driving habits and to slow down. Thank you. Yes, Councilman Hill.
Yeah, before we move on, seeing that announcement reminded me the announcement that's running from the Utilities Committee about the sewer system meeting, I think July 17th. It says on the announcement parish-wide sewage, or parish-wide, and we're not doing parish-wide sewage, we're doing comprehensive, and we need to go back and correct that.
That's an issue for Ozzy, because we didn't place that there.
Yeah, I understand.
That's
Yeah, they'll
the
get that, yeah.
administration.
Right.
Take a look at that, Ozzy.
Yeah,
Ozzy.
Lester's back there.
Check it out. Okay, the next item is item number 10, Orange Grove Community Development District petitions, Malcolm Dugas Bond Council. Welcome, Mr. Malcolm.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm a recluse myself.
This is the same presentation we made a few minutes ago, but out of respect for the additional councilman here, if Mr. Hillingsbeck, I don't know whether he was present and heard the presentation earlier. If you have any questions, be glad to answer them.
No questions, Malcolm. I heard everybody.
Okay.
I'm okay
We
with it.
appreciate y'all, Malcolm.
Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, item number 11, any new business? Any new business, Councilman Shakespeare? Do you have any new business? No new business. We'll go to old business. I've got down here master transportation plan discussion. This transportation committee sent to the full council a road list to be adopted with a 50-cent sales tax. It never got on the agenda. I was also told that the bond commission people had placed on the agenda the 50-cent sales tax and that it was pulled. In light of that, it is the desire of this committee to move forward with Plan B, if there is a Plan B. And so that's what we're here to discuss tonight, is what do we do now? We have had URS work for months. We have worked for months on a road list and a road plan. Where do we go from here? Councilman Valentine.
Mr. Babin, I would ask you, in absence of Mr. Rue, what project, or maybe URS could answer this, what project pending or the next project that may need funding from this parish or this council? What is the next project in line? Is it the Highway 73 project, LA 42? I know 73 is kind of on a fast track, so is that something that we would be trying to present some funds for, or be asked to present some funds for?
Right. In fact, we had an agreement with DOT that we'd pay for the sewer part of it.
Right. I know we did some of that already. Right.
As far as the road part of it, I don't believe we're going to be supplying any other funds for that.
Okay. And I guess the reason for the question is what are we holding up? I mean, we do the parish right now is naturally experiencing great economic boom with sales taxes coming in, assessments of houses and what have you, ad valorem. So the parish is in fairly decent financial shape. And I certainly don't want to miss or anybody misinterpret the fact that possibly we didn't pass a tax or the half-cent sales tax not going forward to the people dealing with road projects, that we'll be missing something. And that's all I'm trying to get to find out exactly what are we missing. I realize if we have the money, then it may stimulate something on the other end, but of course the parish would be doing it on their own. And that's why I'm trying to find out about the projects and the timelines. I know 42's got money dedicated. That, Mr. Hillsback, I think that's over, next 6 years?
$8 billion is already there.
6 years. But I mean, I want to make sure that when these projects come, that money's set aside, whether we got a tax or not, in place. And if that means we put money aside, that's what this committee would like to know. So from our standpoint and Ms. Fontenot's standpoint, we'd like to get some kind of timelines on what may be coming down the pipe. I know our congressional representatives for the parish, our state representatives and our senator had announced a $40 million project, I guess, for the state. I don't know how much of that was coming to Ascension Parish, but whatever roads that may come into parish that we may need to do, I think Highway 74 might have been one, and we'll probably have to replace some culverts and things like this, or overlay of 74. I mean, I want to make sure that these funds are set aside to do that.
Well, some of those is like 42. That $8 million won't go very far. So if we really want to multi-lane it a lot further, well, it will take some parish money. If we want to do it sooner. Now, other than that, you could wait. It'll just take years more till DOTD does come up with money to extend that.
Well, I just don't want to miss out on something. I've always been told that, parish has some matching funds. If we got some matching funds on a particular project, then we need to do it. I didn't want the lack of something in place to do that. If we have the funds, then we need to start setting some aside to do some of these projects if they do come available. That's all I'm asking.
If we're not going to go and do the $100 million project that we've worked on and ask the people to support it, I mean, our job was to tell the people this: here's the problem, and here's what we feel is the solution, and give them the opportunity to choose it. That didn't happen. So we as a transportation committee are responsible to this community to move forward with road projects. Now we have some that we know that's in the pipeline. We have the 621 I-10 73 turn lane project that's ongoing. We want to make sure that a lack of money from our end over here is not going to hold the project up. We want to make sure that project gets moving. We know that we have one to 3-lane 73 to the airline. We want to make sure that that project stays in the hopper and that it gets immediate attention so that we can get started on it. Mr. Hillingsbeck has $8 million to do his road. What can we do with that $8 million that can help his people in the fact that we don't have any other money but that? What can we do with that? And do we need a little bit more? Do we need $2 million more? Does he need $10 million to say get 4 intersections done? We need to know these things. And I guess what I'm asking is that it seems like administration should be bringing the stuff to us, not us having to ask for the information. And I want to make sure that we are kept abreast of everything that needs to be done, that road projects that are in the hopper, that we don't have these problems like we had here tonight, finding out after the fact. We want to move whatever projects that we can forward. If we're not going to do the tax, then we need to find out what monies we have, what extra monies are coming in, and what we can do to make sure that these projects get done, and especially those that we know are already on board. And we just want to make sure that DPW and administration keeps us completely informed and brings us the proper information so that we can make sure that we make good decisions here.
Cheryl.
Anybody else?
Cheryl. Yeah.
Ken, and then I'll get you.
Yes, I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, we voted to go forward with road plan and present it to the people for the half-cent sales tax and have them decide on our priority plan. And why is it not on the agenda? And if it's not, then why don't we put it on the agenda and have it go through? I mean, if it was, who was it pulled by, and what do we need to do to get it on there? We voted on it. Am I correct?
We voted on it, and I've watched the tape again. It was very clear that the motion passed and that it be put on the council agenda, and that didn't happen. Didn't come from our end.
Will therefore, unless somebody disagrees with what we did and we revote,
That's up to the board.
Then I would move that we put it on, direct sentiment to put it on the agenda again for action with the council, with the full council, and a vote of the people, like we intended.
Any seconds?
I mean, I just want them to put it on the agenda. I'm requesting that it be put on the agenda, like we voted on.
So you want to make sure that it's on the agenda for this coming meeting, Mr. Hillingsbeck.
Yeah, I don't have a PowerPoint. I do want to put a graph up. At the last meeting, of course, I objected, and I wasn't happy with the bond program list because if you'll remember, we were going to do a section of 42 from 400 feet east of Jefferson Highway, and we were going to stop Highway 42 at Highway 930, and we were going to do a 4-lane divided road with a raised median. I sent an email to Mr. Tommy Hunter to get the breakout per district on how the $100 million bond issue, where the funds were going to go. Thank you. Can I bring it up a little more? Okay. All right. And he said I'd have the breakout per each councilman's district on the amount of money being spent by tonight's meeting, and I still haven't received that. I went back and I checked with Representative Lambert, and he checked with DOTD about Highway 42, and there is no requirement that this be a 4-lane divided with a raised median. Okay, and Mr. Hunter, in some of the discussion of the project, and I know yours has done a lot of work on this, but he had said that this was a requirement of DOTD, and it's not so. Now back to the funding. I made the comment that I understand about how bond issues are approved. I've been an elected official now for some 12 years, both on the school board and the council, and you try to put projects in all over the parish to garner support, to get the voters to go out and support it. I mean, we are asking for a tax increase. Excuse me. And I made the comment that over the course of the 20-year bond payoff, that retail the retail tax dollars are growing, and I made the comment that retail was going to pay the majority of this back, and we had some discussion and disagreement about it. I believe Mr. Valentine, Mr. Schexnayder said the plants pay the majority of the sales taxes collected. So I asked from finance, and they went to the sales tax authority for the parish, and they gave me the figures for the last 3 years, from June 3rd to May 4, which is the white column, June 4 to the end of May of 05, which is the dark column, and June of 05 to May of 06, which is the gray column. And retail is paying more than the plants. In fact, the plants are paying excuse me, a total of 29% of the sales taxes being collected. Retail along with business, industrial suppliers, contractors, and motor vehicles are paying 72% of the sales taxes that are being collected. So that being said, looking at the growth in the parish that we've experienced, and most of the growth is in the northern end of the parish, looking at how commercial development follows residential development, and we're now seeing that commercial growth coming into the parish with additional residential growth. I'm not asking, but the lion's share of the projects being the northern end, but I really think that where all the congestion is, that's where we need to be addressing more of the problems than we are with the bond issue. So again, I'm not happy with this list. I'm not going to support this before the council to go to the voters. I think you know how I feel about the drainage dollars that we're not getting in the northern end of the parish. So I'm certainly not in favor of asking the taxpayers for additional half-cent sales tax when we're not getting our drainage dollars. And by this bond list that was put together, we're not getting our share of the dollars there either. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hillensbeck. Any other comments?
One question. He mentioned my name, but I didn't say anything about the plants collecting 71%. I don't know that figure at all. But point being is, Mr. Hillensbeck, has his reasons for not doing this. I mean, I'll be very honest. I'll make it public right now. I'm not for the half-cent sales tax either. But the point being is, I think we need to spend our money what we have now wisely, which I don't think we're doing. He's right. Not just drainage money, just regular money that we're spending. And I won't go into that at this meeting. But anyway.
I stand corrected, George. I apologize. I know you and Mr. Schexnayder had a conversation, and Kent brought it out, and I thought you both had agreed that it was the plants paying that. So I apologize if I was wrong there. So.
And yes, as your graph showed, up until this year, the plants had paid a majority of all of the different groups that they had of taxes in this parish, and as proven by the graph that you put up there. Up until recently, that has changed.
No, if you add all the categories,
I understand,
even in
but
previous years, Kent, the plants did not pay that. And the graph speaks for itself, so I disagree with you on that.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. I do have some old business myself, and that is last month I asked about some railroad crossings on Perkins Road, and that we would have DOTD look into repairing the railroad. They did, but the constituent that called me about it called me back and said the patching is already gone. So would you please, Dennis, see if you can check with DOTD to go see the work that they did on this railroad crossing and see what they can do to repair it again.
Okay, we will.
Thank you.
Just one other old business item briefly.
Councilman Hillingsback.
Dennis, would you check on a request I'd made a few months back that a catch basin be installed on 929 as you're coming out of that trailer park, kind of across from the old Prairieville Park on 929. It's very difficult for them to get out of that street. They're blocking both lanes when they're taking mobile homes out. I'd ask for a catch basin be installed to kind of widen that little turn there as they're turning to the east, headed toward 44. Would you please check on that?
I'll
Maybe
check
just send me
on
an
it.
email, let me know
Will
where it
do.
is. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other old business?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
This meeting is adjourned.